get by. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the same. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Deb Tracy of SIGNPROgrammers. And Deb, before I introduce you formally, I like to mention other episodes people should check out of the podcast. Since this is part of the Top Agency series, I've had, Jason Swank on a few times. He talked about how he built up his company to over 8 figures and sold it, and now he's buying companies. We had Ian Garlick on, who does video case story. He helps capture amazing stories from people's customers, and they use those to get more customers. We had Todd Taskey on, who pairs a company agency with private equity, and he's got the Second Bite podcast. Sometimes people sell it for more, make more on the second bite than they did when they sold it, because it gets sold again by private equity. So those are all great episodes. Check them out on Inspired Insider. And this episode is brought to you by Rise 25. And at Rise 25, we help businesses give to and connect to their dream 100 relationships. How do we do that? We actually help you run your podcast. We are an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do accountability, strategy, and the full execution. Deb, we call ourselves the magic elves that run in the background to make it look easy for the host and the company, so they could just, develop the relationship and run their business. So, for me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. I'm always looking at ways to give to my best relationships. And I found no better way than over the past decade to profile the people and companies I most admire and share with the world what they're working on. So if you've thought about podcasting, you should. If you have questions, go to rise25.com. And I'm excited to introduce Deb Tracy. She's a pioneer in the digital sign content marketing industry. I love direct response. I think Deb loves direct response because she's about, it's probably one of the toughest direct response stuff, but like they're driving and you get them to take an action, right? Yeah. Right. With all the busy stuff people have, hopefully they're not texting and driving, but they are on the phone, whatever. They're listening to music. They're, making sure their kids are behaving in the back seat. And Deb has to help these companies get attention from people. So we're going to talk about direct response. She got started back in 1999 with Watchfire Signs as their trainer and artist. And after realizing the digital sign was a powerful marketing tool, she started SIGNPROgrammers. And she did it to help small businesses get leads and market to audiences driving by their businesses every single day. So, Deb, thanks for joining me.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
What was the opportunity you saw at the time? Because people were not doing this. We were talking 1999. I don't even know if people were on the computers at that point.
There wasn't even LED signs. That's how sad that's how old that is. But when I was training people, it was very exciting to go into the sign industry. I'd never dealt with that. I wrote headlines for newspapers and did newspaper layout. So going into the sign industry was very exciting. And when I was training them, they wanted to know how to put time and temps on their sign, how to do holiday graphics. And I thought, you just paid $50,000 for a sign, a media board in front of your business. All we need to do is get someone now to turn in and buy your pizza or get your tires from you. And what they were more worried about was getting an American flag waving. And I'm like, put a flag pole up next to the sign and put a real message on the sign. And so after 5 years of working for Watchfire and dealing with sign companies and going out and meeting with the end user, I saw they had this and they didn't even realize what they had just purchased. It was the best marketing tool, I believe, that they had. And when you look at dollar for dollar in marketing and advertising, I think it's probably one of the most cost-effective ways to advertise.
Talk about that. So how do you educate them, right? Because they're coming with one idea, and this happens in every industry. Like anyone listening, we know if you have clients or customers, they come with one idea and you're the expert. You've been doing this since 1999. How do you get them to actually listen? How do you explain it so that they, kind of see it from your perspective? because you're only trying to help them.
Right. So I will I will, inject an idea. I said, what if we did an ad like this? I know you want to put the time and temp, and I've actually got kind of a funny video that I created on YouTube about the 80s wants their signs back, because in the 80s, that's all signs could do. They did the scrolling ticker and time and temp, and that every bank in Main Street had one. That was what they did. So now everybody gets these signs and they think they have to do scrolling text or a time and temp or a flag. And we're so far more advanced than that. And I have to get them over that. It's like, I know everyone down the street does it, but you need to stand up for yourself and let me help you. And I've talked people into it. I had a dentist in Cincinnati who didn't want to do this. And I said, I'll give you the first one free. And then after that, you've got to at least buy one a month. So he did. And he called me about a year later. And he says, I got to tell you, I didn't tell you we had hired a marketing company and they wanted to tear the sign down. And I said, let's just try this. So they did a separate phone number for all the ads just on that sign. And after 1 year, he had made $22,000 off all the ads, just those one ads a month, 12 ads. He had made an extra $22,000 in profit from those ads. He paid us $700 or $900. It was very little. And he was like, I had no idea. So he went and bought a better sign. Same thing. I've had that happen with car wash. So I have to kind of get them over that comfort zone of everybody else is doing it this way. And it's like, no, let's do this. So now you see more people doing it. The signs are higher def. They're more video quality, but you still can't just copy and paste. It's not as easy as maybe the salesperson leads you to believe when you're buying the sign. They're, after all, selling the sign. My job is to get that sign to make it profitable for you.
Yeah. And I want to put it in context. Like, even if someone's like, I'm never going to do a billboard or whatever it is, we're talking about direct response, and we're talking about what's messaging on your site or what other people doing in your industry that maybe is not working, and that to think about the direct response piece. And I think, Deb, also from the dentist standpoint, I want to have you talk a little bit about how does it work, right? Break down, how do I spend $900 and make $20,000? What were the things that you were doing? How did you put it in place? But there's also an authority piece. That is just trackable by the phone number. There's probably people that saw the person's information and maybe they're like, oh, they looked them up some other way, right? So that's just attributable to the phone number. There's an authority piece to being on a billboard, right? And some people don't even have a call to action on their billboard, and they do it because of the brand building and the authority. Do you remember what the messaging was? Obviously, I had the phone number. Was there like a offer or something, or what was the message for the dentist?
Yeah, sure. It was just a monthly special. It was this month's special is, free cleaning and this and this. And so that's why it was trackable, and they used that phone number. So that's what we always try to do, is some kind of call to action. It's no different than any kind of marketing you're doing right now. You could even almost do a drip campaign or a funnel through it, just by educating people little by little as they're, most of the people we're targeting is the people in the neighborhood or in the local. They're going to work, they're coming back. They see that sign 2 or 4 times a day. We want them to see that sign, and each time they go by, get a little different piece of something that's going on inside your business. So the longer you stay with us, the more we can grow these campaigns, and we know what's going on. We subscribe to their social media channels. We subscribe to newsletters. We know what else. A lot of times we'll say, what do you want to put on your sign this month? What do you got going on? And they'll say, oh, nothing. And so we have to go dig. We go and dig. And it's like, you know what? Your Facebook says you got a pizza ad going on. So let's do date night. Let's do something fun. So I try to take it from just, $5 off your pizza to, hey, it's date night, Tuesday night, bring your girl in, or something like that. and just try to make it something a little bit different that you wouldn't get from another restaurant down the road.
Yeah. So kind of the way you think about it is you want something special. It could be a actual special, or it could be just a hook that makes it unique of why to bring it in. You always want to make sure there's a call to action there. I'm curious your thoughts on numbers versus emails versus websites. How do you decide on what the call to action should be?
That just depends. What's the business? We have everywhere from foot doctors to chain restaurants. So everybody's different. Unfortunately, I just don't have a specific template that fits everyone. And I guess that's why we've been a little more successful, is because when you call, you get a real person, and we work these ads out together, and we don't template these. We don't. Of course, some we can reuse for if it's an auto dealer, and we can kind of flip them over. But everybody's a little more customized. It's more boutique feel. And I think that's why small businesses like us, because they're not getting a form. They're not telling us what they need. They're just calling and saying, I don't know what I need. Can you help me? And we have to go out and be that person to create it for them.
There's different categories of businesses and people that use you. So I like to just discuss those so we can kind of, because like you said, it depends. If it's a dentist, it can be different from a car wash, different from a Dairy Queen, different to a Bob Evans, because you've helped all these types of businesses.
Right.
What types of companies use you?
We have manufacturers, so those who make these signs. We have various manufacturers all using us. And we keep everybody's information private, and we're very discreet that way. Sign companies all over the country are using us because they sell these signs, and then their users don't have anywhere to turn, and they don't. A lot of the people now are learning they don't want to use the canned graphics that come with the sign software, or their sign software is hard to use. Their sign company will refer them to us. We can actually come up with the ads. We upload the files. We manage their sign. They don't have to do anything. We've got clients who have never even installed the software or looked at the sign software. They just, we've had I have the same clients since I have in 2005. I still have them every month contacting us. So I think that speaks that they just need this help.
So you have manufacturers, you have sign companies, you also have the small businesses themselves.
And the end users themselves. We also have chains. We create the Culver's content. Every month we get several of their orders that their marketing team lets us help them with, because they're fine with their static ads and whatever. But when it comes to the boards, doing video content for a sign isn't as easy as it looks. Everybody seems to think it is, but it's not the same as a web video or any other kind of video. The LEDs will wash out certain colors. So there's combinations we have to use. I drive my people crazy when they first come on, because you think you've got a big 4x6 sign. It's actually a 1x3 sign, inches and inches. So we're creating videos in very small matrices, and to get fonts to work, and it's not as easy as it seems. And anybody who's created content realizes that, sometimes they just don't look so good once you get them off your computer monitor, you put them on the sign, they don't look the same.
Yeah, you really have to have industry experience, because like you were saying, the colors may be different when you throw it up on this huge sign, or the fonts.
All washed out. Yeah, they get all washed out or blurry, or certain things, certain fonts won't work on a digital sign. And we do have sign companies that will resell our product as well, and we offer that. So if you were to go to like the signanimations.com, we offer that they can link to that website, and they can offer that right on their own. A sign company can offer that right on their own page. And we have a lot of different programs for sign companies that want to partner with us.
Let me see if I understand. I want to walk through the small business example, but from like a sign company perspective. So let's say, like you said, Culver's uses the same sign company, and then that company is going to be like, great, Deb, we need to have you manage the ads every month, and you don't want to keep them the same, so you'll like swap them out. Whatever you work your magic with the creative, and then actually uploading it to the different signs across the different locations. And then same thing with the manufacturers. They may be contracted with a bunch of Dairy Queens or something like that, and you will help manage the digital content on those signs.
Yes.
How does it work with the end user, like the dentist? Because obviously they're advertising on someone else's sign somewhere, right? Because in the Culver's example, it's in front of their actual location, right?
Right. Oh, no, with the dentist, it was in front of his own business.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. Now we do billboards, which would be a client of the billboard owner. So yeah, and we can throw those up on the billboards, but a dentist can own his own sign.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you will work with billboard owners also,
Mhm.
and just they don't want to deal with it, and they're like, hey, can you please? Here's a company. Go to Deb, and then you work out the creative, and then you actually manage the.
Yeah, they don't touch
ad.
the sign at all. They don't. They just tell their people to call us. We discuss, their needs. They send over their ideas. We create an ad, and they approve of it. Then we just go ahead and upload it and schedule for the sign. So the person who owns the billboard, it's kind of nice. They just collect the revenues off of it.
So I want to talk about mistakes. I like talking direct marketing. You mentioned some of the things to include with the specials, the hook, the different, and you'll swap those out, the calls to action. You mentioned mistakes, time and temp, like boring. People don't pay attention to it. You said just a flag waving. What other mistakes do you see people coming to you with that you have to educate them?
Yeah. Well, one of my employees always tease me because the terminology is the dancing Easter bunny. Everybody wants, as soon as they get the sign, they think they have to put the American flag, a time and temperature, and a drive safe, or, a bank ATM inside. That's like, no kidding. Nobody's going to read that. Nobody's going to buckle up because they saw the buckle up ad. They're not going to do anything that your sign tells them as far as a safety message, or it's just nobody looks at it. And that I did a blog on. I said that's when you turn your sign off. Save the life of the LEDs. Save the electricity until you have a real solid ad to put on that sign, because it's not doing anybody good. And actually, when you turn the sign back on, you'll get more views than you will when you had the flag flying on your sign. Put a flagpole next to the sign and put a real message. And I truly believe that's just something, a remnant of when digital signs first started, and that's all we knew. So we just kind of think, oh, we've got to do that because all the 15 other signs down the road all have time and temp. So that's what we do. And no, we need to stand out, and that's all my messages. I want them different. I don't want the typical, buy 3 tires, get 1 free. I want something that makes people think or smile or remember that place when they do need their tires. So that's, and it's not always easy to keep continually coming up with new content and new ideas that are fresh and invigorating to somebody driving by.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, again, same thing with if it's on a website, if it's in a paid ad online, any of these things, those exact fundamentals apply, right? It's the same stuff. Make them smile, make them think, make them take an action. Remember you. Yeah. I think when early on you were thinking, how do you expand and move into a niche market? I don't know if it was because you were getting into this specific piece of signs, or what were you thinking about when you said expanding?
With my company or this company? Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking about the end user. Yeah, back when COVID hit, and most of our clients are on a monthly subscription, And we don't have long-term contracts. So throw that in, we just say, hey, stay with us 3 months, because that's where you can really see if it's going to work for you or not. We don't hold anybody over a barrel very long. So what happened then is, and during COVID, when people were saying there's no traffic on the street, we're going to shut our sign down, we're going to cancel our program with you. I had to quickly think, how are we going to keep this afloat? We can't lose all of our monthly base. So we flipped everybody over and offered them to do social media. We'll do your social media. You got to stay in front of your people through this COVID. We all thought it was just going to be another month. And so when we came out from past that, end users said, we want to keep the social media and do the signs. So we grew that all of a sudden. It was just like, oh, wow. And all along, I kept thinking, we got to stay in our own lane. We're not going to go into the social media market, but we did. And it actually works out pretty good, because while we're making the ad this month for your sign, we're already in there. Why not just convert it a little bit and do a little bit of, and it takes less manpower. And then we can also see, when we deliver your file for preview, you've got social media and you've got your sign done. And for a small business owner, especially now when people are having a hard time with finding employees, this takes a load off of an owner or a manager, because it's like, it's done for me. They don't have to worry about it.
So what kind of stuff do you do for people in the social media realm?
They can choose, they want Facebook, Insta, whatever, or TikToks. We're doing reels. We're also now doing indoor screens. We're doing, like, everybody's going to the programmable menus. You've got kiosks. There's just a whole lot of that we're able to do for people now. And now that I'm, like I said, you have to always stay in your own lane, and that's what I was doing. But now that we've kind of jumped, we're developing this whole other aspect of everything. So hopefully this will help more small businesses. Will be their one-stop shop for all of that kind of animation and video content.
Yeah, I could see during
static too.
Static too. I could see during COVID, it was probably, for everyone, it was pretty terrible. But specifically for businesses, like restaurants and physical locations where people weren't going to them anymore, it was even worse. And that kind of led you to create these other services. I'm wondering, how does that affect the people piece, from, I don't know if you had staff going in the office to virtual. How did it affect the staff when you compare pre-COVID to post-COVID?
Yeah, so we had, luckily we worked with the SBA, and we've got office space, shared office space. So for COVID, those who couldn't work from home could work in a shared office space, and they each had their own office, and we didn't have any of that worry of being too close and all of that. But we're very, very apt at working mobile, and just like we're doing this right now, we get on all the time, and we're always sharing screens. It's an environment that we adapted to very easily.
So did you find that more people went just virtual, didn't come back to the office, or what happened post-COVID?
Yeah, but we had a lot that were already working virtual. So, we use a lot of interns, we use a lot of college people. And so working remotely is something that I've always had to do with my team, because we can't always find what we need locally.
There was one person, Deb, that called you one day sobbing. What happened?
Yeah, she called. She had been, some salesperson had really pushed her to where she bought the sign without her husband's input. And he
What
really,
kind of business was it?
It was a carpet and tile store.
Okay.
And the salesman showed up and just pushed her, and she bought the sign. And the husband was furious. And so she called us, and she said, somebody told me to call you, that maybe you could make my sign look good. My husband's very angry at me, and I can't, all I have sunflowers growing on my sign and sunshine and flags. And she goes, I don't know how to do this. So we created like a template package for, I don't know, I think we did like 20 files, and we did the carpet and the tile, and so people going by could see her, and all she would have to do is type in her text overlay. She called crying like a child had been scolded, that and she said, my sign looks like the big box company sign. My husband now is happy that I bought the sign. It looks like it goes with my company. And a bad looking sign is like having, to me, a rusty door in front of your business. It tells me that nobody really cares. You're not putting back into your company for your customers what you want them to get from you. You're not looking professional. So if your sign is done correctly and looks professional and portrays what's going on inside, people will come into a bright, shiny red door versus an old, rusty screen door. And to me, that's how I kind of liken whether you're doing your sign content yourself or if you're having something professionally done for you. It's that different. It's that drastic.
I think you have a new tagline, Deb, which is sign programmers, we save marriages. No, maybe in this case. I'm curious, you've been doing this a long time, running a business. What do you wish you would have known running a business wise? If you were to tell, yourself 10 years ago, what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
I would have slowed down and said no to some people along the way to build the foundation more on concrete than sand. At first, it was, I just kept going and crash. It just never went real smooth because, and things changed. I mean, when I started out, I had index cards in a little file box. So that was my database. Now I have built a big CRM myself to get everything, under control. But everything was hard. I would have paid more at the beginning to get the right people in place.
First of all, I have one last question for you, Deb, and on the getting the people in place, I want to just find out who are some of the mentors that have helped you. Now, this could be actual mentors. It could be distant mentors, like a book or someone that you've just researched that has helped you from a distance. But before you answer that, I just want to point people, they can go to signprogrammers.com. You can learn more there about Deb's company, and they have a site there that links to their social stuff as well. So some people get the sign stuff, some people get the social stuff. Their digital designers company does the social media piece. So you can find everything on signprogrammers.com. Deb, who are some of the mentors that you've looked through for guidance, either personally or through books?
I would have to say the first one was Michael Gerber, the E-Myth. Somebody had told me to. I struggled with constantly trying to. I had to fix the computer. I had to fix the printer. I had to sell. I had to find leads. I was doing everything myself. And somebody said, read the E-Myth. Just stop, read the E-Myth. And I read E-Myth. I couldn't put it down. I all night long read this book, and it was like, oh my gosh. So I suggest that book to so many people now. But then from E-Myth, Ray Edwards. Oh my gosh, I couldn't get through a week without listening to Ray Edwards. He's a copywriter genius, and he's brought on a lot of other people in the industry, and I think he's just a great person. And another one I like is Neville Medora, another copywriting person that I use every single week. And I've taken all their classes. I read all their books and all those that come from them. But those are kind of my three that have been my base throughout all of this.
Yeah. Any other copywriters or direct response people that you follow? I will comment. Michael Gerber has been on the podcast. It's a great episode. Check that out. Also, I've heard Ray speak. Amazing. Actually, shout out to Brian Kurtz. I was at Brian Kurtz's mastermind, and Ray came and spoke at Brian's mastermind. I've had Brian in a couple times, and Neville I've had on the podcast too. Great copywriter as well. Any other favorites of yours that you like that other people should check out from a copywriting or direct response?
No, not that comes to mind. I am just constantly into. I start a day out every day on a podcast with some marketing. Just for one, it pumps me up and probably drives my people crazy that I work with, because I come in with all these ideas.
What are your favorite podcasts?
Those three. I'm kind of looking through. I just kind of I cycle through, because usually whoever that they recommend, I will spin off from there and go into a little deeper into whoever they're recommending or they're interviewing that day. Big fan of podcasts.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Deb. I want to thank you. Thanks, everyone. Everyone check out signprogrammers.com, more episodes of the podcast, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Deb.
Bye.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I'm feeling like $100 grand.